So you know how every once in a while you end up hearing a truth that you don't like, but you can't deny the fact that it's true. A lot of times people call those hate facts or something else. I have two of them for you. This is brought on by a comment that for some reason I continue to get this month, and it was a whole discussion that went over on another blog, which I will link to so that you can see the whole discussion. But I'll give you these two hate facts. Number one, people judge you. Always have, always will. People will judge you. It's a fact of life. Like you can't get over it. You can't avoid it. As much as we try to think that people shouldn't, it doesn't have any bearing on whether or not they actually do. And people do judge you. They assess you. They do their best to determine if you're of value to them, if you're part of their group or not part of their group, if they're attracted to you, if they have any respect for you, whatever it is, people judge you all the time. Hate fact number two, people judge you based on what you wear. Yeah. Sorry, that sounds really condescending, and I'm not condescending to you guys who are my normal watchers because obviously you guys get this, but for other guys who continue to try to fight this idea, people judge you by what you wear. Ironically enough, the more that you try to argue that they shouldn't judge you by what you wear, or that caring about what you wear doesn't matter, or especially that it's unmanly, you're judging people by what they wear. So you're just proving the hypocrisy of your own statement. So this whole comment that was brought on was another one in the same vein of caring too much about what you wear is gay, or it's effeminate, or it's something that only women do, or insert stupid being concerned with your appearance is not manly comment. I see them all the time. And the irony is that these guys, I will believe somebody when they make that comment as soon as they make it in front of me wearing nothing but like a monk's robe, or as soon as they're willing to change clothes with me and then make that comment, or put on any number of different articles of clothing from something that's extremely laced with images of poverty and being broken in the dregs of society to something that's extremely flamboyant or anything in between. Once somebody can kind of wear all of those things and feel the exact same wearing every single one of those articles of clothing, then that person can freely and truthfully tell me that what you wear doesn't matter. I've yet to meet anybody who does that. In fact, the most common response that I get from people who tell me that it doesn't matter what they wear, and I say, okay, well, trade clothes with me, and they'll say, no, I don't like what you wear. Okay, well, why don't you like what I wear? Well, because blah, 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 blah. It's stupid because they're immediately admitting the fact that there's value based on the clothing that we as men wear. My entire presentation that I gave at this conference over the weekend was based on that men always have and always will express who we are as men through our clothing. Even the guys who are anti-style or anti-fashion, the fashion is for fags guys, they're the ones who are still communicating through their clothing, through their apparent apathy or indifference to their appearance, that they're too manly to care about their appearance. So it's still status signaling. It's still expressing who they are. It's still an overt concern for appearance. It's just masked in an indifference for appearance. And it's hypocritical, and it's ironic, and it's stupid. What's so funny to me is I don't get why. I mean, to some extent, I understand that you don't want to take it to an extreme. You don't want to take anything to an extreme. Almost any virtue when taken to an extreme becomes a vice. But what's so funny is that these guys, they don't realize that clothing and appearance, grooming, body language, posture, all of it, it's just a tool. It's really all it is. It's just a tool. And they're so timid and fearful about the saying that, you know, if the only tool you have in your toolbox is a hammer, then anything starts to look like a nail. They take that to its extreme, and so they get to the point where they're so self-conscious about this metaphorical hammer, their appearance, that they don't have it in their toolbox at all. They don't know how to use it. Jack Donovan and I, we talked about this in a podcast episode I did a couple months ago about clothing. It's amoral. It's a tool. You need to use it, so you might as well get good at using it. Because I'll tell you what, if I'm building a house and I need nails, it's absolutely ridiculous for me to try to pound those nails in with a screwdriver, right? Just like it's just as ridiculous for me to try to, I don't know, go through the hanging the wires or getting the plumbing all trimmed up or anything else like that if all I have is a hammer. Of course you need the right tool to do the right job. And I tell you what, clothing has always existed as part of civilization. It has always existed as part of tribal masculinity. It's ways that men signal their status within the tribe. We use it as ways to demonstrate courage, mastery, strength, and honor. We use it to demonstrate our viability to other men. We use it as ways to express our fitness to other women. We use it to distinguish ourselves from women and to distinguish ourselves from children. We use it for all these different things, and that's the whole reason it has value. That's why people judge you based on what you wear, because their parents and their parents and their parents, on and on and on and on, back through hundreds of generations, have fine-tuned this idea that our bodies and our minds, they make shortcuts. And if you can make a shortcut, if you can be more efficient, then you use it. That's why stereotypes exist. For some certain period of time, they existed based on truth. There's another hate fact for you. A lot of stereotypes, they can be based on truths, right? Doesn't matter, because what it really comes down to is this idea that clothing matters. It has always mattered, and it doesn't matter in the supreme. And those are not conflicting ideas. Those are not mutually exclusive. By saying that it matters, I'm not saying that it is the ultimate thing that matters. And that's what so many post-baby boomer men just fail to understand, is if it's not at the bottom of the hierarchy, that doesn't mean it's at the top. And I will tell you guys until I am blue in the face, your appearance should not be the top of your hierarchy. I don't even think it should be second tier, but it should be maybe third or fourth. But here's what it comes down to. It exists. The judgments that people base and that they make on you according to your appearance, they exist. They will always exist. You cannot do anything about it. So you might as well use it to your advantage. You might as well use it as a way, use your clothing in a way to get ahead in life, to better provide for your family, to better further your advances in your career, to attract a higher quality woman, to better represent your family to your kids and to set a better example as a father, to whatever it is that you need to do as a man to work within your tribe, to work against your out tribe, to demonstrate all of these virtues that you try to build, rightfully so. Use your clothing as ways to enhance that process and that experience. But do not tell me that it doesn't matter, because it does. As long as other people continue to matter, your clothing will matter. What's funny is that these comments always come from guys who have the same uniform. Cargo shorts, combat boots, and some t-shirt. And all they say is, well, it's just functional. Function is the only thing that matters. Ironically enough, that's only one form of masculinity. And I'm not going to go into some stupid diatribe about how there aren't different, or all these, there are all these different methods of masculinity, because I do believe in traditional masculinity. Anybody who's followed me for any period of time knows that. But just rugged masculinity is not the only thing that exists. Do you know why I don't wear combat boots every single day? Because I don't have to be outside all day. Do you know why? Because I make enough money that I pay people to do that for me. You want to know what's funny? Is that's a status signal. That's a way for me to demonstrate my ability to procure provisions. That's my ability to demonstrate that I can exert influence other people via means beyond just the physical. And so it's ways for me to subtly indicate that I don't need to wear functional clothing. It's the same reason that peacocks have massive plumage, and that elk or other horned animals have massive impractical racks. It doesn't do them any good, but basically what they're saying is, I am so fit that I can intentionally handicap myself, that I don't need to be the most streamlined and the most effective when it comes to survival, because my genes are so good. And really, that's what it comes down to. That's why you go back at any point in history and you look at the wealthy, you look at the aristocrats, and man, the level of clothing that they wore, it got ridiculous. And do you know why? Because it was just another way for them to step up the ladder, that status ladder, that tribal ladder that men have always been concerned with, and say, I don't need to be this level further down, because I have so much access to so many resources that I'm above that. Now, is that moral? It's amoral. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make anybody better than anybody else. It just means you're better at providing those particular resources. But don't tell me that that's unmasculine, that it's gay, that it's effeminate, or that it's childish. So the next time somebody tries to tell you that that's exactly what that is, just laugh them off, because basically what it comes down to is these guys, it's intrasexual competition. It's men who are uncomfortable with the idea that there's something rooted to being part of rooted to being a man that they're not good at. And so what do? They disqualify it. They say it doesn't matter. That's why academics will always write off strong men as idiots. That brute strength doesn't matter because it's a virtue that they don't have, and so they try to disqualify any value to it. That's why really strong and really dumb men will write off academics as wimps, because these guys who are able to create the philosophical structures upon which societies are founded, well, they can't lift heavy weights. And these other guys who may be dumb and strong, they can. And so they're threatened by this other method of masculinity. That's why the three archetypes exist. I don't care if you're rugged, refined, or rakish. I don't care if you're any combination of all three, but that's the whole reason those archetypes exist, because all three of them are adequate ways, traditional and effective ways of expressing masculinity. All of them work within each other. And so anytime anybody tries to tell you that one of those archetypes is any more or less important than the other, just blow them off. Because basically what this dude is saying is that I'm threatened by your ability to prove yourself as better in a particular arena than me. So I'm going to try to write you off and tell you that what you're doing is a waste of time.